Good evening, as always, and thank you for joining us here on Speed Racing Network. I'm Greg Olenek here with Brandon Domain, and we've got some Cup Series action for you tonight at Charlotte for the Oval, not Roval 185. Brandon, good Sunday night to you, buddy. How are you doing?
Oh, doing fantastic to close out the weekend. Hope you're doing well also, and very excited. We got a nice full day of racing here at a real interesting F1 race. We were just talking about that. We had IndyCar crown a champion, have the Cup Series going on right now, and then our own Cup Series racing tonight. Busy day of racing, and we get to cap it off here with our virtual Cup Series for SRN, doing 125 laps around Charlotte.
Yeah, get all the monitors out, put them in your living room, bedroom, wherever. You can put the Cup race on. You can put our Cup race on. You can watch them both. But, yeah, we've got some great action for you after coming off of a wild Talladega race where it was relatively clean the whole time and, a normal name up at the top of the boards. Could we see that again tonight, Brandon?
I think on both fronts we could see that again tonight. We've had just consecutive win after consecutive win for Next Level Motorsports on that side with Holzer and Lacey just running away with things. But you also mentioned the clean race that we had last week at Talladega, and there was no cleaner race than there was last season at Charlotte on the oval race for these Cup guys. Only one caution in that one last season. Think we could very well see the same again tonight based on what we saw in the Xfinity Series that we ran in on Thursday.
Yeah, pretty clean race on Thursday and a really good race on Wednesday with the Truck Series. Very entertaining for us to call that race. So we're hoping we'll see a lot of the same tonight for Sunday's race, the Oval, not Roval 185. Like we said, Cup Series action. Week 11 getting ever so close to that Week 13 cutoff for the playoffs. So we're going to have 125 laps to get through here tonight. And as always, no fast repairs.
And that's always the big thing, and they're used to that here in the Cup Series. I know on our end, that's a new thing that we got to experience this year with the Xfinity side. But 3 weeks left in the regular season before we go to Vegas to kick off the playoff, and that's where we're starting to see these points. People are realizing that they're still worth as much as they were early in the season, but mentally the value that much higher at this point in the season. We've seen the aggression kind of ramping up across all three series in the past couple of weeks. I do expect to see the same tonight because we're getting pretty close to that cut line.
Yeah, getting really close. But let's go ahead and check out our league details as we always do here on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. As always, 20-week fixed setup league here at SRN. No fast repairs as it's always been in the Cup Series. And these guys are paying $15 a week to get in on weekly and season payouts. $1,000 going to that first place champion at the end of the year. 5-person teams are allowed here as well, and they are racing for a team championship too, so a lot of money to be held around here.
Yeah, a lot of money in, but a lot of money coming out for these drivers, whether it be weekly on the individual or the team, the season side with individual and teams, all being up for pretty good sized purses on all of those three fronts. I know we'll get into that here in a second, but that team championship, every team still up for that one with the new format thrown in this season. And we're also 3 weeks away from getting to that as well. So teams, as well as the individuals, really sorting themselves out here in the final stretch of races.
Yeah, they're going to sort it out in the next couple of weeks. But let's go see what they're racing for tonight. And as always, these guys are going to triple their entry fee. First place going to come away with $45. Second going to get $30. With third through fifth getting their money back. But if you continue to do well week after week, this money will start to add up in that pocket.
Yeah, I would kind of want to see what the total is this season so far for guys like Holzer and Lacey that have just stacked up these wins week after week. But we've had a few other drivers be real consistent and really start padding their wallet with consistent top fives throughout the season. And then, like you said, that adds up in a hurry. That third through fifth, you're getting your money back and put it forward to the next race and just one less thing to worry about. If you start throwing those seconds, those first place finishes in, it really starts building up quickly.
Oh, for sure. But now let's go ahead and go to something else that these guys are racing for. And this is a little bit of extra award, a Hard Charger award sponsored by Competition Designs, a free paint going to the Hard Charger of the race. Now, for those that don't know, the Hard Charger is the person that picks up the most positions through the course of the race. So if somebody's starting in the back and working their way up to the front, could potentially find themselves getting a free paint from Competition Designs.
And we saw a lot of drivers last week, really the last couple weeks, really make a big runs through the field. And, we're looking 20, 30 positions gained over the course of the race last season at Charlotte on the Oval. We saw a few drivers really charge through the field in their own right. So there should be a good competition for that free paint scheme here tonight on that hard charger front.
All right, now season payout time here on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show, and here's what they are racing for at the end of the season. First place going to come away with $1,000. Second place going to get $600. Third going to get $350. Fourth place going to get $200. And if you make that final five, you're guaranteed $125 at least. Sixth place going to get $100. Seventh going to get $75. And eighth place going to get $50.
The top five, you're getting just about a minimum of half of the season entry fees just for the season payout alone, not counting what you make on the weekly front or on the team side of things with our team championship should you win that one as well. So a significant chunk of money, especially as you start getting higher. Obviously that first place $1,000, a big payout for any racing league here on iRacing, short of the professional side. That's one of the higher ones you'll see out there. And then, like we've been talking about a lot, new this season, 6th, 7th, 8th, also getting thrown into there. So those 5 drivers eliminated right before we get to the final in Atlanta, they're going to be running for some money as well.
Oh, for sure. And if you are finding yourself in that final 5 or even the playoffs, you might be trying to get in on some Kane Cook sim coaching, and that's what we're going to go ahead and cover here next on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. This guy has offered up his services to a lot of the guys here in SRN, and he is one of the best at teaching you the basics as well as some other things in iRacing. So if you're looking to get faster out there on track and maybe make a push for that final round here in SRN, you might want to go ahead and book your session right there on speedracingnetwork.com and take advantage of this.
And we were just talking about the hard charger award that's being thrown out there by Competition Designs here this week. Nobody more known for being a hard charger when it comes to the professional level on the NASCAR front of iRacing than Kane. We see it right there, known for being the hard charger, and that's just the guy that he won't necessarily be up front at the start of the race, but as it goes on, just picks off spot after spot, and he's been incredibly successful doing that for more than a few years on iRacing.
Oh, for sure. And if you're definitely interested on getting in or even just learning about how to do this or, at times are available, like I said, go to speedracingnetwork.com. It's all right on the homepage. Very easy to find all the stuff you need. But moving on here on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show, we got a special segment here brought to us by Beer Street Journal. It's this week's Beer of the Week.
This week's Beer of the Week comes out of Tucker Brewing Company in Georgia. When Tucker Brewing Company was looking for a head brewmaster, they naturally took notice of an application with the name Tucker Eagleson on it. He was a brewmaster at a different brewery, but he thought that his name Tucker would belong at Tucker Brewery. Well, I'd say that it's worked out really well because Tucker Brewing Company just took home the gold medal at the Great American Beer Festival for their Tucker Lager. It's the first gold medal for a lager based out of Georgia in over 30 years. Now, here at Speed Racing Network, we celebrate our drivers when they win in a field of 30 to 40 drivers. Well, Tucker Lager just won in a field of over 10,000 breweries. So it really is the best of the best. Now, this light lager might sound kind of like a common beer, but it can be really unforgiving if you don't know how to brew it. Other types of beer can mask imperfections, but a lager is like changing clothes in the front yard. You see everything. So when a beer has to be that perfect and ends up taking the gold at the Great American Beer Festival, it's time to pay attention. So pick up some Tucker Lager if you're in Georgia. You won't regret it. The Beer of the Week is sponsored by Beer Street Journal, the leading online publication for craft beer reviews. Go to beerstreetjournal.com to find your next great beer. And as always, you must be 21 to enjoy, and please drink responsibly.
Well, there you have it. Again, we've shown it twice already, and it still looks just as good up there on the screen. Thanks as always to Beer Street Journal for presenting this week's Beer of the Week. Tucker Brewing Company coming out with a good one, won a bunch of awards. But go ahead and check out beerstreetjournal.com. And Brandon, this is like It's getting really hard. I wish I could just grab that beer out of the screen. I looked for it the other day in the grocery store and couldn't find it, unfortunately, but I'm still going to keep looking for it.
I mean, it's local to me, and I went to the grocery store today, actually looked for it. It was sold out. I think the secret's out on Tucker Brewing Company, so a little disappointing, actually. I couldn't get that myself.
Well, you might have to go to the source and just go to Tucker, Georgia, and go find them. Get yourself a little bit of food while you're there. I'm sure they have a great menu. But go ahead now, moving inside the cut here. And there you see the top three, all occupied by Next Level Motorsports drivers. James Holzer, Landon Lacey, Timothy Latham just running away with this thing. But Seth Berger and Dalton Tucker not too far back to round out the top five.
No, and really, once you get past that top two, it's pretty compact, especially once you get closer towards that cut. I mean, you're looking at 9th down to 14th, separated by about 20 points. And then David Duke still has some work cut out for him to hang on to that 15th spot here with 3 races remaining. And there's a lot of guys that are going to be trying to hang on to as many points as they can, because they know that next week we got a road course right before we go to that cut race at Michigan. It's going to be pretty interesting, these last 2 races. This is really the last normal race that these guys are going to be feeling here for a while before the playoffs.
It's almost like the admins knew what they were doing when they made up the schedule, just to throw a little bit of wrench in there and make everybody sweat a little bit, like you said, going to Watkins Glen next week. And that is not everybody's forte, going out to road courses. But let's go ahead, look outside the cut, see the drivers that are looking to get in on that playoff action, to run for that $1,000. And Michael Politis sitting there in 16th. He has some work to do. 16 points out. That's a big spread to cover, but he can definitely make it happen with some solid runs here in the last 3 races. John Honeycutt and Emerson Ardon also looking to make up some ground.
Yeah, and my rule of thumb is kind of, if you're within about 10 points a race, you're still within pretty decent striking distance. And so going off that, you're looking at really 16, 17, 18, 19. So Politis down to service, really with still a solid shot. And the thing in their favor now is there's not many people that they have to jump past. I know on our side of it, you're looking at 10 drivers within about 30 points of that cut line. Here it's only 4, so not as many guys to pass, so it can be done. So I wouldn't count out a good handful of these drivers.
Let's go check out the team standings too. Next here on the healthcare. Oh, we got playoff clinching scenarios. Excuse me. James Holzer and Landon Lacey can both clinch today. James Holzer, all he has to do is get a 6th place or better, and then you see the rest of his scenario. And then Landon Lacey has to win or get a 2nd place with 2 bonus points, or a 3rd with 3 bonus points. So we could get some playoff contenders here tonight clinching a spot.
And if you're just joining us for the first time, the 3 bonus points possible. Leading a lap is 1 point, leading the most laps another point. And then having a clean race with 0 incident points gets you a bonus point as well. So that's how those bonus points can be accumulated here for these guys.
All right, now we're going to go to the team standings here. And there you see Next Level Motorsports just running away with it. Tank Racing in 2nd. Rounding out our top 3 is going to be Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing. But as always, we like to give you some context and tell you that this is just for playoff seeding purposes. So, we will see how it works out once we get into the playoffs. But this is not a for sure thing that Next Level Motorsports is going to win that money.
No, but what it is looking like for sure is that they're going to be going into that first round of the playoffs with a bye and one less thing to worry about, as well as having a couple drivers that are going to be very comfortable in advancing to the 2nd round as well, with bonus points accumulated over the course of the regular season. Tank Racing looks pretty solid for that 2nd bye round as well. And then those other 4 teams just kind of working out on who's going to face each other, as it's pretty close between 5th and 6th and very close between 3rd and 4th.
All right, moving on now. We're going to go ahead and check out the team introductions here. And the first one on the block is going to be Next Level Motorsports. And we saw just how good of a season they are having, occupying the top 3 positions in the individual standings with James Holzer, Landon Lacey, Timothy Latham, as well as a few others here on the list. Nick Gowen having a decent season, and Gabriel Ellison can also get it done at any moment.
And Ellison actually had a really good run here at Charlotte last season, finishing in the 4th position, led a handful of laps in the process. So I would not count out any of these guys from possibly winning. Nick Gowen won on the Xfinity side last season, despite not making it into the playoffs. He had a couple wins, and Charlotte was one of them.
All right, let's go ahead and check out Tank Racing's Cup Series squad. Sitting here in second place within the team standings, and they have their captain, Emerson Ardon, looking to make up some ground, like we said, sitting outside the cut currently, but a few drivers that are having a really good season so far: Joshua Balliet, Reese Schaefer, Seth Berger, and Max Service, all running really well.
This entire team either inside the cut right now or close to getting inside that top 15 playoff cut. And really, it's been impressive has been Joshua Balliet, Reese Schaefer, Seth Berger. They have been on it all season long, and they're due for a win here at some point pretty soon, I believe.
All right, moving to the third place team here on the Healthcare Billy Incorporated pre-race show. It's going to be Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing. And this team has a lot of talent as well, headed by their captain, Austin Reedy, in the one car. Kyle Benson started the season off strong and has not let off. He's had a really good run. Craig Lautenslager in the 13 and John Honeycutt in the 50 machine.
Really solid team top to bottom. Austin Reedy had a strong run last season, leading the most laps in the run to a third place finish at Charlotte. Kyle Benson has just been very fast pretty often here this season. Greg Lautenslager, John Honeycutt have shown those moments of having some good speed under that car, but just kind of getting caught up in stuff over the course of races. But they're still threatening to possibly make a late push there for those playoff spots. So this is a really strong team that I think has kind of gone under the radar a bit.
Yeah, and they hope to stay under the radar and catch some people by surprise. Moving on now, checking out the fourth place in the team standings. It's going to be Revved Racing. Their team captain in the 9, Byron McDonald, to 23 of Scott Kalal, 73 of Dalton Tucker, who's sitting in the top 5 in points, looking to get that first win here in SRN. And the 99 of Christopher Lawrence. This is a great team for being in fourth place.
Very good team for that position that they're in, and honestly, it's just with how good Next Level has been, and really how good Tank has been as well, it's kind of overshadowed teams like Murray Reedy Smith and Revved from having really solid seasons as well. And I mean, you're looking at Dalton Tucker, who I think is most notable on this list in terms of this season, just being real fast out there, been consistently chipping away at some top 5s, top 8 finishes pretty often. I don't think we've given him enough credit this season.
All right, let's check out R&D Motorsports next. This is going to be the team slotted in that 5th position within the team standings, and their captain, David Duke, looking to get that ship moving in the right direction as far as the team standings go. He's had a really good run the last couple of weeks, gotten into some trouble, but has had a fast car out there. The Jordan Sailors in the 55 machine, and Joshua Siegfried in the 60 car.
Going to be a short lineup for them here this week, and that's going to put a little bit of added stress on them as they try to hold on to that 5th position in the standings to try to stay above of Stryker Motorsports for that last seed going into this. But this is a team pretty capable. All have good experience at Charlotte from last season. I think that even though they have 3 drivers, they can still put together a good night.
All right, checking out our final team here in the team standing. It's going to be Stryker Motorsports. Brandon, I'll let you take it away.
I appreciate that. As this is the team that I'm part of here the past couple seasons. Our Cup side new to the SRN this season here for Stryker, but going to be 4 deep tonight with Bo Brady in the 19, Raul Meza in the 37. Both of them have shown real good speed over the most of this season. Kyle Johnson will be in the 48, Joe Ruggles Jr. in the 96 to round out the group of 4.
Yeah, excited to see how they can do tonight. But we got some independents out there, too, quite a bit. Dean Brummett, Scott Healy, Michael Larch, Curtis Mathis, Justin Rideout, Bobby Anderson, Michael Politis, Bo Tiffany, Travis Trevelyan, and Lucas Lyons. So we got 10 independents out there trying to get in on that prize tonight, that $45 going to the race winner.
And a couple heavy hitters inside of that as well. Bobby Anderson, playoff driver in the Truck Series last season. Bo Tiffany, always been a contender when it comes to the Xfinity side. Lucas Lyons has been having a good year as well. But Dean Brummett, Scott Healy kind of jump out the most on that list. They both had solid runs last season at Charlotte.
All right, let's get out there as they are starting to grid up for the oval. Not Roval, 185, about to turn 125 laps here at Charlotte. But before that, let's go ahead and check out the starting order. And Seth Berger from Tank Racing going to be on the pole tonight in that Jimmy Johnson throwback here. And Nick Owen going to be starting second. Timothy Latham in third. And Michael Larch up from the Xfinity Series going to be in fourth.
In row 3, we'll have Michael Politis, another one of the independent drivers, starting inside in 5th. 6th place going to be another independent with Chris Mathis, one of our newcomers here recently. He'll be in the 6th position. Row 4, we'll have Reese Schaefer out of Tank Racing starting in 7th. And the points leader, James Holzer, will be starting in 8th.
David Duke going to be in 9th. Gabriel Ellison rounding out the top 10. Landon Lacey back in 11th place. And Joshua Siegfried going to be in 12th for R&D Motorsports. All right, Brandon. Well, it's that time. We're about to get out there. Pace car is about to pace these guys around for one lap. But before that, who are you going with tonight?
Well, I think there's a couple of drivers that catch my attention, and one would be the safer pick, I think, just because leading the most laps, finishing 3rd last season was Austin Reedy. I'm going to go with a little bit more outside of the box, though, and kind of look more at the drivers trying to move into the top 15. I expect Max Service to have a good run. He had the most positions gained last season en route to a 7th place finish, did lead the race at one point as well. At Charlotte last summer when we had our late playoff race there. Think he can put together a similar run starting in 18th position, but very good at moving up through the field as he showed last season.
Yeah, excited to see what he can do tonight for Tank Racing. One guy I have my eye on is going to be that 88 machine, Nick Gowen. You mentioned he won here last year in the Xfinity Series. He's already up there on the front row, so I expect to see him out there tonight running up towards the front. He's going to have a battle in front of him, though, with Seth Berger as he looks to have the speed out there tonight. Ran really good in practice and in qualifying, but I think Gowen has what it takes to save that car as we expect to see long runs tonight and get it done for Next Level Motorsports. So there you see it. The field is pacing behind the iRacing pace car coming around turns 3 and 4. We are going to be seeing the green flag flying here shortly.
And I think you touched on the big thing tonight. Expect long green flag runs. It's possible we don't get them, but I would bank on that happening here tonight. We've seen it all week long. Think that these guys will put that together also.
All right, well, let's see if they can get it done and get some green runs going here. We saw it last week at Talladega. We could possibly see it here again tonight in the Cup Series. Pace car is off, and Seth Berger is going to be looking to get a good jump on this field, really waiting for it. And we are green for the oval now, Roval 185. Nick Gowen not fooled by it. He is getting a great jump and already starting to jump out to the lead.
Makes me wonder if Seth Berger just fully waited on that green flag to go, and then that's how he got caught so easily by Nick Gowen. But Gowen going to be on the outside, which on this restart, it does get you a little bit nervous on that high side just because it's a little bit more slick on those cold tires than being in the groove on the inside line.
Yeah, they actually have to wait for that green here in the Cup Series, so it stacks up the field a little bit more. But that's why he waited till they were in that restart zone box, and then he saw that green flag waving. But so far, it's been a great start to this race as Timothy Latham working to the inside of Seth Berger. He's trying to move up and take this lead, battling side by side his teammate Nick Gowen here for second.
Apologies, I was thinking about the Xfinity rules on the initial start, but yeah, definitely had to wait, so that explains a lot of that. But Timothy Latham not waiting to make many moves. Oh, we got contact there, that's Michael Politis and Nick Gowen making contact. Politis having to go over the turf, and lucky for him, there's actually still some grip on that artificial turf here at Charlotte through iRacing and how they put that in there, and he was able to maintain control and not lose a whole lot of spots. Especially if that was grass, he would have been sliding all over the place.
Well, someone losing a spot is going to be Seth Berger as Timothy Latham looks really fast out here so far, coming to take the stripe for lap 4. He will lead this lap, and we have our first lead change of the night. Timothy Latham out in front.
And that's going to be a little scary for guys. We have not seen Latham leading a race in a little bit here, but when he does lead, he is very good at protecting that position and just making the field run his race. He is a very good leader of a race in terms of just protecting that margin and really dictating how the rest of the field has to make this race go.
Michael Large trying to get past Seth Berger right now. This is the battle for second, and these guys not wanting to give up an inch on each other. Michael Larch ran really well in Thursday's Xfinity Series race, so looking to build on those results and get back up to the front in the Cup Series race. and try to make him some money. So excited to see what he can do. Not much representation for JW Racing here in the Cup Series, but he is making them proud so far as he's running up towards the front in third. But he's got a hard-charging Mathis behind him now trying to make a move on him.
A couple of newer guys to SRN running in third and fourth in that close racing side-by-side. They're in the 52 and the 18. Still guys that we're still kind of learning about and how their racing style is and how they like to run on the track and their mannerisms out there. But what we've seen from both of them, very fast and like being out in front.
Absolutely. Now David Duke trying to get in on the action to put that polka-dotted Disney machine up towards the front. And, you know, he really ran well at Darlington, got into some trouble there late in the end of that race, but looking to build on that momentum as he's trying to make a push to make his spot in the top 15 to run the playoffs. And David Duke has always been one here in SRN to really run well, but has some trouble so far this year. So good to see him up in the top 5. Looking back in the pack here a little bit further, Landon Lacey to the inside of Reese Schaefer. Landon Lacey moving inside the top 10 officially now, making his move on Austin Reedy.
Yeah, not much of a surprise to see Lacey and also Holzer gaining those positions early, as we've gone very used to seeing here in the past month and a half or so since the Next Level rebrand. They have just been absolutely dominant. They're both making their way through the field, but good holding off here from Austin Reedy, who's just continuing to stay in front of Lacey and continue to hold that 8th position. Nick Goen, who started in 2nd, kind of falling off, possibly just saving his tires, expecting longer runs.
They just have action all over this track from about 6th on back. You know, we got Gabriel Ellison racing really hard against Austin Reedy up there. He's finally made the pass on him. Now Austin Reedy trying to get by Michael Larch on the outside. And then Landon Lacey just behind him. Michael Larch starting to fall back. These guys are really starting to get a train going here on the high line. And that has been the faster line here this week. So maybe these guys have been watching the previous races here on Wednesday and Thursday and seeing just how advantageous that line is.
It definitely works, and it just kind of testing out these Cup cars. I think there's even more grip on that high line than what we were seeing on the Xfinity side or even in the trucks getting around here. Just with all the downforce these Cup cars have, you can really make that outside work. The only problem is there's so little time that you're fully off the throttle, even on the inside line here, that the speed difference isn't that great going into or in the middle of the turn, but you do build that momentum coming off the turn where you can build up a little bit more speed.
Chris Mathis battling very tight here on the outside of David Duke, and then James Holter just behind these guys looking to make a move here, but waiting just to see what happens with these guys to see who's faster. Now Landon Lacey not really wanting to wait. He's going to poke his nose in on the inside of James Holter. We got side-by-side action. It gets real tight. David Duke gets into James Holter there.
And we got cars scattering all over the place. I think I see 3 or 4 that have had to go through the grass or through the turf here on the front stretch at Charlotte, but still managing to keep this race green despite that big shakeup that we're seeing in the standings as Holter now dropping outside the top 10 and continuing to lose spots.
Man, I would love to be able to go see back and see that replay. Maybe whenever we get this first caution of the night, we might be able to check that out. But it really did look like Landon Lacey might have gotten into David Duke a little bit there, sending him up into his teammate. So now James Holter has some heavy right side damage. And, man, he is going to be having a hard time to make his way back up to the front of the field.
Yeah, that is a rough thing to do, especially with how we're seeing this side-by-side just stacking up over and over. Just, I mean, we're looking at 5-6 rows side-by-side around that midfield, so it's going to be real hard to make passes because I don't think anybody's really in the mood to give up a spot here. Or even though we're still early on in this race, we're seeing a lot of aggressive driving.
Yeah, so your top 5, Seth Berger getting that lead back, Timothy Latham in 2nd, Chris Mathis in 3rd, David Duke in 4th, and Landon Lacey now in the top 5 after that little scuff up with his teammate David Duke. So we got positions changing all over this track. Austin Reedy already up 7 positions. Joshua Balliot up 9, up from 21st up to 12th. Scott Healy up from 30th to 18th. So we got big movers all over this track, maybe potentially trying to make a push towards that free paint for that hard charger, but Holter way off the pace. He is way off the pace. I don't know if he is just looking to get out of the way of this field and just coast, but he is very slow.
Sounds like that could be part of just a connection issue with some blinking. I know that there was some chatter in the driver channel. Wasn't able to really hear that, but it does sound like that might be a blinking issue where he's dropping back. And honestly, this is probably the first time, aside from green flag pit stop cycles, that we've seen Holzer outside the top 10. And I got to think about 5 or 6 weeks, going back to maybe Homestead. It has been quite some time since we've seen him outside that 10th position.
Yeah, it's really odd to see the 42 running that far back in the pack. We'll have to see if he can get that car fixed, maybe under caution, and maybe change that luck around. But right now, he is running way in the back of the pack. So we'll keep an eye on that for you guys. But they are taking the stripe here for lap 17. The laps are starting to tick off here for the Oval Nut Roval 185. And Gabriel Ellison and Michael Politis here having a battle here for 10th place.
Real close racing. I'm loving the racing that we have seen all week long here at Charlotte. We've seen a lot of great side-by-side action in all three of our series here so far, and the Cup Series living up to that expectation as we got one down onto the apron, and that's Chris Mathis, who is running up near the front for a lot of this race, and looks like he's gotten into the wall pretty hard. That right side pancaked pretty good.
Yeah, it looks pretty flat there on the right side for that 18 machine. Same thing we saw happen to James Holzer and losing a lot of speed. But this battle for the lead has not died off one bit. The Seth Berger machine still running out in front, but Timothy Latham is sitting there just stalking this guy, waiting for him to make a mistake. So Seth Berger is going to have to keep his P's and Q's here and keep it going in the right direction. And if he can hold off Timothy Latham, he will be a force to be reckoned with tonight.
Seth Berger, we've said it all season long. Both he and Reese Schaefer have shown so much speed for just coming up on this now full-time and full rostered tank lineup going into the season. They were part-time with their part rostered, I guess is the proper term, last season, and really just putting that full team together has just stepped up that program to the next level really, really well. And Schaefer and Berger have both progressed very good this season.
Yeah, definitely responsible for Tank's success so far. Been really running strong so far this season, but they need to keep it up as we are just starting the second half of the season. So this is where it matters most. But checking in on a few of our independents out here. Actually, going to check in on Austin Reedy running in 9th, but there you see Dean Brummett. He is running in 10th place after starting 19th, so a good move up so far. And Scott Healy, who's not far behind him, started 30th. He's up to 11th. So he's up 19 positions. And he is our current guy for the current hard charger winner here for Competition Designs. He could be seeing a free paint here after this race.
Nearly starting in the last position as we got 31 out there tonight, and already finding himself right outside the top 10. And we're just now about halfway through this original tire run, this original fuel run, I should say. So that's going to be about 40 to 45 laps. And half of that time, he's already gained nearly 20 spots. Unreal run for Scott Healy in that 64.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun when you're passing all these cars out there on track. So I expect to see him doing it a little bit more, as he is going to be trying to run up front by the end of this race. Craig Lautenslager right here on the inside of Scott Kalal, trying to pick up 13th position. He's going to get that spot right here, see if he can clear the 23. But he's got some company clear nearby just behind him. John Honeycutt inside of Michael Politis. So really tight racing from about 13th on back here.
And that's very similar to what I was experiencing, I know firsthand for a lot of that race, being in the middle of the pack. It was a really aggressive race because there's so many runs that happen. There's that little bit of a draft that helps, but then you also get that one guy that gets kind of stuck on the outside, or maybe even just gets pinned down tight to the inside and can't really pull off a lot of momentum. And it just leads to one of those freight train moments once that side-by-side kind of gives. But there was a whole lot of side-by-side racing. We've seen it on Wednesday and Thursday. We're seeing it again tonight. Really love the racing that Charlotte's produced here with this updated package that got released with that update a couple weeks ago. I think it's been fantastic.
Yeah, they do a great job with the setups here at Charlotte because it does seem like one of the more narrow 1.5 mile tracks that we go to. So quite surprising when you get out there and you see just how clean the racing is. But plenty of racing lines out here at Charlotte Motor Speedway promotes just that. You don't have to really fight for one lane here at Charlotte. You can make passes all over this track, and it promotes the best racing I think we see just about all season long.
And I think part of it too is that there is a lot of different lanes that you can pick, but I think the drivers also know that 3 wide just does not work around here very well, even with all those lanes. So people don't really push that a whole lot, and they just kind of go for that one pass at a time and not really trying to thread a needle 3 wide or put anybody in a really bad spot, because it does get pretty tight, especially coming off of turn 4, where it does kind of want to pull you towards the wall. Turn 2, it's not as bad. But I think that's part of just drivers knowing that this is a narrow track. Despite all the lanes and all the lines that you can take out there, it's still narrow enough that you don't want to push that issue. And I think it just leads to really good racing.
Absolutely. So we're seeing some good racing up front as Seth Berger still only holds a 3/10 lead over Timothy Latham. So Timothy Latham not going away. But a name that we're seeing move up towards the front is Landon Lacey. He is closing the gap on these guys after starting way in the back here. Started 11th tonight, so he's already passed a lot of fast cars and looks to pass 2 more before this next round of green flag pit stop starts. Looking to the inside of Timothy Latham. Not going to have it this time. Coming to the stripe, he will be to the inside of this 5 machine potentially. No, he's going to fall in behind the 5 and make another attempt out of here in 1 and 2.
And I think with them being teammates, I think that's going to be a lot of just, there's going to be a lot more patience in making that pass. I do think that, the 24 obviously being faster, the way that he's gained through the field, but it's not like Timothy Latham has been off pace compared to Seth Berger either. So I don't think they're going to push the issue too much against each other here and just kind of ride around for a bit, maybe save a little bit of those tires, because with all the passes being made, Landon Lacey and also Scott Healy, as we're looking at him, as he's now 23, about to be 24 spots up through the field. Just the wear that is being put on these tires is probably pretty good. So any time that you got a chance to kind of sit back and relax for a second, and as I say that, Landon Lacey has just gone around Timothy Latham for second, but any chance you can kind of ease off those tires just a little bit, even if it just saves a lap of wear, that goes a long way at the end of the run here.
Well, some people that cannot relax right now, that battle for 6th on back, they were just 3 wide in turns 3 and 4. They sorted it all out, but Scott Healy going to come away with that 6th place position. Michael Larch going to get that 7th spot, but David Duke still battling hard here with Joshua Balliet and Gabriel Ellison. 27 now, looking to the inside of the 78. So David Duke starting to have a little bit of a fall from grace, as he is going to be mired back in the 10th position, I imagine, once Gabriel Ellison completes this pass.
And this is about that point in the run where the tires are really going to start to hit. I think once you get to about lap 10 or 12, we got Bo Brady off the pace. No caution on the racetrack. It definitely looks like he got a bit of trouble there in that Striker Motorsports 19 car. But again, no caution, so we stay green. And that's going to lead us to the last 10 or 15 laps of this run on fuel. And this is where the tire situation is going to be pretty dicey. They're about to be leveled off at this point. They're not going to get much worse for anybody. But at this point, it gets real slick around this track. I think Charlotte's one of the more sneaky ones when it comes to how much the tire wear just builds up, and it just bites real quick on you. Once it goes pretty hard.
Yeah, so something these guys are going to have to start considering as we see a battle here between Seth Berger and Landon Lacey. Landon looking to get up to the front here this time, but these guys are really going to have to start considering their strategy that they want to go to as far as pit stops go, because this thing so far looking like it could stay green the whole time. As like we said, Charlotte has promoted really clean racing all week long in the Xfinity Series as well as the Truck Series. So these guys are going to really have to pin their crew chiefs and figure out what strategy they want to run. If they can do this on 3 stops, or if they can do it on potentially 2 stops. Maybe if they can get a little bit past lap 40, they can do it on a 2-stop strategy. This is all things they're going through their head right now as there's a battle for the lead too.
Side by side for the race lead. Landon Lacey taking that peak, coming out of turn 4. He's going to get the door slammed almost a little too late there by Seth Berger, who was not fully clear, and that's going to slow him up just enough to give the edge here to Landon Lacey, and he may very well be clear coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, it's going to be really tight, though, coming off of 2. Whoa! Gets a little bit loose on the exit. Clears the 24. Seth Berger back out in front. But that's not going to make Landon Lacey quit by any means. He is going to be working hard to get by that 77 Jimmy Johnson throwback. And we all know how well Jimmy Johnson ran here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So maybe channeling a little bit of the 7-time champ here and pulling off maybe a little bit of an upset tonight if he can get past Landon Lacey for the win here tonight. Got a heck of a fight ahead of him, though.
Definitely starting in the first quarter of this race looking like a Jimmy Johnson style race here at Charlotte back in that golden era that he had with all those championships. Charlotte was just one of those places he was almost unbeatable at times, and he's had a run very similar to that here, but this is the first time he's really had to push that car. He's been able to be very comfortable, run it exactly where he wants to, really since the start of this race. But now he's got Lacey pushing the issue here, kind of putting him in some different positions, and this is where you're really going to see what we got with that 77, as we're now under 10 laps or so until we're going to start seeing these pit stops happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much these drivers will be able to pull off an undercut, maybe pick up some time on these leaders. Like I said, I think they're going to try and stretch it out as far as they can go to try and make it on just 2 stops. We'll see if they're able to do that. We'll know for sure after this first pit stop. So, yeah, we could be seeing those start to commence here the next 5 laps or so. But looking back a little bit further in the pack, the battle for 6th right here between these 3 guys, the 10 of Kyle Benson, Michael Larch, and the 7 of Joshua Balliet. This is the best battle on the track right here besides the leaders.
This has been really good for a few laps now. They've all been within about a quarter of a second for the past couple of laps. Real good racing here, real good close and clean racing, as now we've got Balliet taking a peek to the inside of Michael Larch as they go down through 1 and 2 and give the edge so far to Balliet, but Larch going to get so much momentum being on the outside going down that back straightaway.
Man, they got super close right there. They got really close.
Oh.
Larch to the inside wall after Joshua Balliet tried to pull off a little bit of a side draft there. So big time damage for the 52 machine. No caution either.
No caution as he did filter down onto the apron and off the racing surface. And I'm not sure if that was a side draft or if Balliet was just thinking he was clear and not quite clear just yet as they were getting ready to go into 3. That's one of those turns, yeah, you can enter it low, but you get so much more speed entering it near the wall. I think he thought, all right, I'm clear. Let me just slide back there, get a big run going down the front stretch. Problem wasn't quite clear as he thought.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Michael Larch running up from the Xfinity Series to run with these Cup guys. And I had a great run, like we said, on Thursday here at Charlotte. It was looking like he was going to be having another really good run here tonight, but that is big-time damage for the 52. But, man, this battle for the lead is great right now. This is the best battle we have on track. But as I say that, Nick going by his teammate Timothy Latham, now going up to 3rd.
And he has had a bit of an interesting race thus far as he fell out of the top 10 very briefly, but definitely did look like at the time he was conserving those tires, and it is showing here late in this run, and that's going to be some knowledge that'll go a long way as we get into that 2nd and 3rd stint. If this stays green the entire way, we keep getting those long runs. That is great experience built for the man in that 88.
All right, well, I fully expect to start seeing some pit stops happen here in the next 2 or 3 laps, and here we see James Holter coming down for his first service of the night. Reese Schaefer as well coming in.
And this is right at the pit window where you're going to be able to stretch it the rest of the way and be okay. So this is very close, but they should still be good. 42 laps in. Obviously, if you go 3 times of that, that's 126. This race stays green the whole way. They will make it, but they are right at the front line of that pit window and being able to stretch this to 2-stop race.
Yeah, these are the guys that need that undercut opportunity as we see Timothy Latham coming in for his service this time. David Duke as well. But yeah, these guys are going to try and get in as much of an undercut as possible, only being 1 or 2 laps. Still, will make up some time for them. But that should, like you said, get them to the end with just one more stop here. If this does stay green the whole time, could we see Seth Berger come down this time?
He's going to go right on by. In fact, the entire top 5 going to go right on by pit entry. And so they're going to continue to stretch this. And that's something that we saw work huge on Thursday. We're just stretching out as long as you can. Wound up really being the deciding factor of the Xfinity race. So there's a whole lot of reasoning to just go as far as you can and kind of ignore all that undercut opportunity.
All right, well, he's going to have another opportunity here as he comes to the pits, and we see him slowing up. Whoa, gets really close there between him and Landon Lacey. They keep it clean, and we'll see if he gets a penalty potentially here as he was hard on the brakes on pit entry, but Nick Owen coming in just behind him gets a really good entry into the pits. Looks like Nick Owen going to be picking up some time, but Landon Lacey is our leader now. And
he's going to lead, and I think how close that was might have set up where Seth Berger possibly too quick going on pit road. We'll have to see how that plays out, and I think he saw how close that was. Maybe didn't get on the brake as hard as he needed to ahead of time, and he cut that real close going into the pit.
And we have the yellow flag out as Landon Lacey enters the pits. Greg Lautenschlager turned around on the backstretch, so perfect timing. I'm not sure if Landon Lacey got in on time. We will have to find that out, see if he gets a black flag for entering a closed pit. But that was really close.
And the huge winners in this one are going to be, Michael Politis, John Honeycutt, Jordan Sailors, Max Service. They all still are on that original set of tires, original tank of gas. So as long as they can get onto pit road before they run out of fuel, which is going to be pretty close, that is a huge moment for them, and they're going to make up a ton of ground on the field.
Well, that, like you said, that's a nerve-wracking moment for them, though, because they have to stay out there for an extra lap or two until those pits open. But we're checking out the wreck replay here brought to us by Beer Street Journal. And you see here Craig Lautenschlager on his outlap coming out of the pits just gets loose and loses it completely, hitting the inside wall and spinning around. So tough break for Craig Lautenschlager as he, was just exiting the pits on really cold, fresh tires. And that's all it takes to lose it here.
And what I will say in his defense is you can see it there as we go on board. That apron, incredibly bumpy once you get out of turn 2, and it's real easy for it to snap around more than most tracks. As you see him just bouncing there over and over, and especially once you get below that seam on the apron, that is a really unstable patch of pavement there, and it will want to throw that car around pretty good. And on those cold tires, you take that with a little bit too much speed, it will snap that car around quick.
Well, let's go ahead and see if we can bring up Seth Berger here, as he has already made his pit stop on the night. See if we can see how his night is going. Seth Berger, it's Greg Owenick and Brandon Domain up in the booth, having a great night so far in that Jimmy Johnson throwback. Tell us how your race is going, and how is that pit entry heading into the pits there on the green?
I saw Landon Lacey on the bottom behind me going into pit road, so I was like, I gotta haul butt to not get destroyed in the back, and I don't know how close that was on stream, but I don't think I could ask for a better pit stop or pit entry there. A little bit, pushed it a little bit much, but yeah, that was a good pit entry. I think he's gonna beat me here when this all cycles out, but I did not expect to be doing this well. I'm not very comfortable at this track, so running like this is definitely awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it has been just a great run that you've put together here. And how do you feel about the timing of that call coming out, right after everything just happened with that pit cycle? Is that anything that you're good with, or is that anything that's going to make you a little bit more on edge here with this race as it continues to play out?
I think we're just going to have to see what happens. I think it's just going to be a cycle back to the front row here. Won't be in the lead, unfortunately, I don't believe, but gonna keep attacking it, man. I just expect crazy racing this entire time. I'm not a fan of restarts in these cars, man. Yeah, I make crazy moves, and crazy moves end up with bad things happening. So I'm just going to try to keep it clean here, and hopefully I could keep it out front or close to the front.
Yeah, well, hopefully you can channel that Jimmy Johnson type luck out here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, running the throwback paint scheme, honoring him. So best of luck, man. We'll send you back to your team, and hopefully we'll be talking to you a little bit later.
All right, sweet, thank you.
All right, that was Seth Berger, who was our leader before this caution came out, and Landon Lacey now going to be the leader once these wave around cars go by the pace car. But yeah, this has been a great battle between these two up front, but now Seth Berger going to have his work cut out as he's got to get by this 24 machine now.
And this is going to be the first time we're really seeing Seth Berger going to have to really attack once we get up to speed, unless he gets a great jump on this restart, because he's been very comfortably out in front for much of this race. Did have those last few laps before that pit stop where he did have the pressure from Lacey, but aside from that, it's been very comfortable for him. So this is an interesting point in the race. Also like the honesty there of, restarts in these cars, it's so aggressive, and him just saying, you know what, I don't really like them a whole lot, and that's something that's very honest to say, that it's a little uncomfortable on these restarts. Charlotte, thankfully for a lot of drivers, pretty cut and dry when it comes to it, unlike a Phoenix or anything like that. But these restarts do have a lot of pressure on them for drivers.
Yeah, well, we're about to see that restart happen here in the next lap. Pace car lights are off, and they are starting to grid the field up side by side. And there you see it, Landon Lacey opting to take the inside lane for the restart. Seth Berger just to his outside. Nick Owen now in third, Sky Healy in fourth, and Kyle Benson going to round out our top five. So shook it up a little bit for our front runners as that pit stop, or that caution, came out just as the green flag cycle of pit stops was ending. So we could be seeing a whole new field of cars up here up to the front.
I think another great race that's going to happen here is with the cars that got trapped a lap down. That's going to include Emerson Arden, Reese Schaefer, James Holzer. So the points leader a lap down. Going to have a handful of drivers really gunning for that lucky dog should we get another caution.
Well, we will be seeing the pace car peel off here shortly. Field will be in Landon Lacey's hands, and we'll just see how this restart works out, as we saw Seth Berger say he's not a big fan of him. And Landon Lacey getting a good jump with his teammate Nick Gowen behind him. They are gone. Landon Lacey up front. Nick Gowen now in second place.
Not sure if that was a misshift or just spinning the tires there for Seth Berger in the 77, or he just got caught big time on that, but falling all the way back to the fifth position after that restart. That inside line had a huge advantage as Lacey got that train pulled very well through 1 and 2, and you see how much they've progressed with Benson and Healy picking up spots as well.
Yeah, everybody single filed out now. Seth Berger all the way back to fifth, going to have to really hold off his teammate Joshua Valia to make sure he doesn't lose any more positions, as he's hoping to get back up front and win this thing. But Nick Owen gets loose right there in front of Kyle Benson, So a tight moment there between those two drivers. That's going to give Scott Healy the run on the inside of the 10 of Kyle Benson. So Scott Healy looking to pick up a spot and get up to the top 3 here maybe. But Landon Lacey's starting to pull away ever so slightly.
What a run for Scott Healy in the 64, starting in the 30th position. And we've got a caution out on the track right as Healy takes the third position, and it's Byron McDonald sliding across the front stretch. And looks like Raul Meza also in it, as he was going all the way down that inside wall on the pit road and into the inside wall just after the pit exit. So heavy damage to that 37 Stryker Motorsports car. As we take a look at another Beer Street Journal rec replay. And please drink responsibly. And the old adage, cautions breed cautions. And it's starting to look like that here at Charlotte. And, Austin Reedy, heavy impact coming out of turn 4. And Byron McDonald, nowhere to go.
Yeah, Raul Meza was just behind Byron and didn't even probably see what was happening in front of him. So that was just an according effect there. But Austin Reedy getting turned there on the front stretch, that is a tight space to be getting turned because you're going right through the dog leg there. Looks like it might have been this 14 machine. Not sure who is in that car, but this is, bad netcode there, turning the 1. That's Justin Rideout up from the Xfinity Series. So really bad netcode there, getting Austin Reedy turned around. And you see Trevelyan also getting caught up in the mix.
And that's so tough, and we saw that on Thursday night on the end of lap 1. So very similar to how quick this was from the restart. Just those cold tires and people trying to be aggressive. And this one wasn't even so much that you lose control of it. It was that little bit of netcode just running tight, trying to make up as much space as you can, being aggressive, trying that slide job to slide up the racetrack. It just that netcode just came out and bit those guys right there. And it sparked a big wreck coming out of turn 4 down that front stretch. And a handful of cars really going to be affected here the rest of this race.
Yeah, you just hate to see that bad a netcode happen. But that is part of the service that does rear its ugly head from time to time. So unfortunate for Austin Reedy there and the other drivers involved. But we had some pit takers down pit road and some people staying out. So we'll have to see how that works out, as they did have about 4 or 5 laps under green on those tires. So could be seeing a little bit of difference in wear between those two sets.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a whole lot, but because really, to me, the quality starts to drop significantly around lap 10. But what it's going to do is it's going to give them those 5 extra laps once everything kind of starts out and it starts to fade for these guys that are staying out there. They're going to have a few extra laps of added speed, maybe a quarter second a lap or so before they kind of have that drop themselves. So there could be something to it there. I think early on they're going to be a little sluggish just because they're going to have to dance around on those cold tires. It's going to be a little slippery for them, and all these tires are kind of scuffed up a little bit, going to have that much more grip. But it could be a nice trade-off for those guys making those pit stops now.
We'll see how it works out for them and the people opting to stay out, as we are coming back to the stripe this time to take lap 55 under caution. So just over 70 laps to go in this thing. Let's see if we can get this ended under a long green flag run, as they started that with a 40-lap green flag run here in the oval, now Roval 185, and then just a really bad netcode bringing out the second caution of the night here. But Landon Lacey still out in front. Nick Gowen, his teammate, just behind him in second. Scott Healy, our current hard charger racing for that Competition Designs paint, up from 30th place, sitting in third, so picking up 27 positions so far. Absolutely great run up to the front for our defending champion here in the Cup Series. So looking to get that win on the season here tonight at Charlotte. Kyle Benson just behind him in fourth, and rounding out our top 5 is just who we talked to during the last caution, Seth Berger out of Tank Racing.
These top 5 all have had just really good nights thus far. Not far behind them, we're starting to see some guys that have also worked their way through the field. In 8th place, Max Service up 10 spots from his 18th starting position. John Honeycutt in 9th has come up from the 26th position, so a great run for him as well. And that number 50, that gold and white car, just one of those clean-looking cars, one of the cleanest out there on track. And one thing did want to touch on, mention the Lucky Dog race, how we had a lot of heavy hitters in that one lap down, trapped on that pit cycle. Reese Schaefer gets the Lucky Dog, so the man in the 17 car going to get back on the lead lap here.
Yeah, good for him, as he has a lot of speed week in and week out. Definitely a contender every race we go to, so he is back in the mix now that he is on the lead lap. But I believe we're going to see the pace car lights go off this time. We're going to get this thing gridded back up, and we will see Landon Lacey taking that inside line again. Nick Gowen just to his outside. Scott Healy, as we said, starting in third. So we got quite a few heavy hitters running up towards the front. My pick, Nick Gowen, looking to get in on the action here, as he won at Charlotte last season in the Xfinity Series. So he has great speed no matter what car he's in at these 1.5 miles. So no surprise seeing him up there. We'll see if Timothy Latham back in 12th, Gabriel Ellison back in 13th can get up to the front, as they were up there at the beginning of this race. So they have some work to do if they want to get in on that cash prize for the winner here tonight.
This is one of those restarts. I kind of wonder what would happen if we had the choose rule like they do in real life. iRacing has not added that yet, so that's not really an option for us. But one of those situations where you got teammates side by side on that front row, and the inside line has been so much quicker on these restarts, just with the leader getting such a good jump, building that momentum. It would be one of those instances, if we had the choose rule, I think that 88 would probably be on the inside behind the 24. But here we are. They're going to take up the front row for next level.
Yeah, we're going to see the pace car peel off again here, and I have to imagine that they will be working together like we saw last time to get a good jump on the field. Landon Lacey spins the tires a little bit there. Maybe have started in first, and that's going to cost him a little bit as Nick Goen gets a great jump on the outside. They're going to be battling side by side heading into turns 1 and 2 here.
And that spinning of the tires really caused a shakeup in the back of the pack. They kind of accordioned and wound up going 3-4 wide, getting down to turn 4. Everybody keeping it clean, though, as we got Scott Healy with a huge run to the inside. Big momentum push going into 3.
Yeah, Scott Healy getting some good momentum out of 2, carrying that into 3. Like you said, he's going right on by Landon Lacey for the lead here and taking Kyle Benson with him, potentially, as Kyle Benson's on the inside of Nick Goen. Landon Lacey has a battle under his hands here between him and Scott Healy, last season's Cup champion, and the new leader is Scott Healy.
Well, welcome back, Scott Healy. It's been a couple weeks since we've seen him as he's kind of reducing that schedule a little bit, but what a run for the defending champion in that 64 car, all the way from near last right back up to the front. We're not even halfway in. Caution back out on the racetrack.
Third caution of the night. Reese Schaefer around again as he just got that lead lap back, looking like Michael Larch was involved as well.
That's a heartbreaker. Work for that lucky dog position, and then right away gets taken from you and get caught up in a wreck, and damage there for the 17 car, especially on the right side. So we'll take a look at our third Beer Street Journal wreck replay of the night, see what happened here to that 17 car.
Yeah, working behind Travis Trevelyan here. We'll see just what happens as they enter 3. Oh, it looks like Bobby Anderson stopped on the track, it looked like.
Oh, netcode. Big time netcode. Throws him into the outside wall, and Reese Schaefer, I think, committed to the outside, thinking that he was going to slide down that banking, and just the momentum did not catch him in time, and he just stayed up high. Travis Trevelyan threading the needle between the wall and that 2 car. That's a slight touch, but I think netcode might have exaggerated that a little bit. Trevelyan barely getting by. Reese Schaefer nowhere to go, though, and he goes slamming into that 2.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things in any type of racing. You see a car spinning around like a pinball up here, and you just have to commit to a spot where you're going to go on track. And it just so happens that Bobby Anderson is sitting right in that spot, so that is big-time damage for Reese Schaefer. Didn't really translate to what it looked like on his car, so maybe he got lucky there, but, man, that was a big hit for the 17.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the replay, it looks like he should have real heavy front-end damage. And that one, it kind of looks like the server just gave him, like they slid the right side of the car up against that 2 car. So he does catch a break there. Man, that's a rough break for the 17. And speaking of that lucky dog that he was last time, this time, the lucky dog, the points leader, James Holzer.
Well, there you go. We'll see if he can get back on track and move that 42 car up towards the front, sitting in a 21st position right now. He is not used to doing that. He is always running in the top 10 at these mile-and-a-half tracks. And, you know, he is usually running up at front no matter what track we're at. So definitely some new territory for James Holzer, running a little bit back here, but has some heavy damage on the right side after he got into a little bit of trouble earlier on in the race between David Duke and Landon Lacey and himself. He's coming into the pits to maybe work on that damage a little more, maybe just get 4 fresh tires to give him a little edge over his competitors in front of him.
And either way, that's not a bad call. He's obviously going to be in the back of the line once we get this restart after being the lucky dog, so you may as well come in and at least put on some fresh tires, if not get the chance to work on a little bit of damage and getting that repaired and picking up some speed. And one thing I don't think we've really touched on this a whole lot this season, but with the new rule of having the tire limits here at SRN here tonight, we haven't really had to worry about that a whole lot this season. Here tonight, 6 sets of tires for these drivers, so that is something to keep in mind with all these cautions kind of starting to pile up. It does play a little bit of a factor in the strategy. It's not that they're going to be cutting it close by any means, but it's something to keep in mind here as we go forward into the second half of this race.
Well, we're going to go on board Scott Healy here, and you can see from his RPMs he is clutching this car. I'm not sure if he's turning it off completely here as those RPMs are just sitting there at 300. So he was definitely just clutching it, saving all the fuel that he can, hoping for a green flag run to the end potentially, or just setting himself in case that does happen. But man, he is fast out there right now as he just blew right on by Landon Lacey. Landon Lacey must have come down pit road as he is now back in the 18th position, has a lot of work to do to get back up to the front here.
And so interesting call from Lacey to give up all that positioning. With all the cautions that we've had kind of stacked up on top of each other, and they're all kind of in that mid-pack area, that's a curious decision from Lacey. That's a tough one. I'm not sure I would have done that myself. I think at this point that track position just goes a long way around here, and especially when you're up in front, just missing all the trouble that's gone on recently.
We'll have to see how it works out for them as they are all stacked together. They're back from 17th to 21st, I believe. And James Holzer pitting again to kind of mess up the whole row of next level cars. So, but they are all in the back right now, and they are all working that same strategy. So we'll see how it works out for our team standings points leaders so far in the season. And I have to imagine they will be racing very aggressively to get back up towards the front. But Scott Healy right now has a very fast Toyota Camry, and he's looking to get away from the pack and get a good jump here on this restart.
And there's a lot of guys up here. 3 of the top 5 have not been up near the front on one of these restarts up until this point. So interesting to see how they pull off this restart with Scott Healy leading them to the green for the first time here tonight.
Pace car goes down pit road. Scott Healy going to go right away. Gets a good jump on Kyle Benson just to his outside. That's going to bring Joshua Balliet to the inside of Kyle Benson. There's going to be a big battle here between second and third. Seth Berger opting to push his teammate, and we are back under yellow again. A big wreck here in 1 and 2.
And we were talking about that pit stop strategy coming in late there. Giving up all that track position might be a problem, and I think we've seen a couple of guys get affected here that did that just before that caution or the green flag came out. As we look at another Beer Street Journal wreck replay, there's Bo Tiffany in the 01. Nick Goen also pitted right behind, and not sure what happened there, but Bo Tiffany just checked up or something happened there. But definitely some interesting timing going into 1 that led to the 01 and the 88 coming together. And for Nick Goen, that late pit stop on that last caution is just going to bite him hard going onto this green flag run. He's going to have some pretty heavy damage to take care of.
Yeah, not too sure what happened there with the 01, but really just lost a lot of speed entering turns 1, and Nick Goen not expecting that at all. And that just, nothing the 88 could have done right there besides a great job of keeping it off of any other cars or the wall for that matter. So his damage might not be too severe, but still not going to help him out any, as he is losing more positions as he's going to have to come down and get that damage fixed.
I think Bo Tiffany might have missed a shift. I think he was getting near that point of having to shift into 4th gear on that restart, and he might have missed it, and that might be where that speed drop came from, where he just did not catch into it and just kind of slowed up as Goen was still going through the gears there and getting up to speed. I think that's what might have happened.
Well, you jinxed it into existence, Brandon, saying being back there is not good, and now look.
Yeah, that's I would not give up that track position. I think I see what those next level guys were thinking there, putting everybody together and kind of lining up on the same team strategy, but that's risky. We're seeing caution after caution here since that first one, and it's all in the mid pack. That's not a place I would want to be right now. So if I'm out in front, I stay out in front as long as I possibly can.
Yep, cautions, breeding cautions, breeding cautions. So hopefully we get this thing cleaned up here. As if I'm correct here, they should be doing a single file restart this time. Not sure if they will, but typically under the rules, 1 lap, not under green, will promote a yellow restart here, and it's a single file. So we'll see if that is the case from the admins. That could help clean up a little bit of the action, as they don't want any of these restarts getting dicey like that.
Have not seen a decision made on that just yet. Typically it would be by this point. So it seems like we might still be on a standard restart here side by side. Pace car coming up to the start finish line might give us a good indicator here. And light's still on, so there's still some time here to sort that out, possibly adjust it to a single file restart. Another thing, just keep touching on this, but with all these cars that got trapped one lap down, there's a good handful of them. The lucky dog once again comes out quickly. This time it's going to be Emerson Arden getting his lap back and coming back onto the 21st position. 22 cars now on the lead lap. So we're starting to kind of level out there. Like, the cars that are coming out of this race are obviously losing more than one lap, but there's a lot of cars getting their lap back just because of the sequence of cautions we're having.
Yeah, that's big for Emerson, too, as he's trying to make that push. Sitting just over 20 points outside the cut. He needs every point that he can get. So now, with an opportunity to pick up some positions here under green, if we can get some green flag runs going and not having to worry about running a lap down, he has every bit of chance now to pick up those positions that he needs to make a push towards the playoffs. So we'll have to keep an eye on that 57 and see just how far he's able to move up, sitting 21st just now.
But then again, no man has moved up through the field tonight as much as the race leader, Scott Healy. And, I mean, we just keep touching on this, but 30th up to first. So nearly dead last at the start of this race, and now all the way up in front as we're just past halfway. Joshua Balliet to the outside of him in that 7 car has had a pretty solid night as well in that regard, starting in the 21st position now up to second. Kyle Benson started 15th. Up to third. Max Service 18th up to 5th. So our top 5 full of guys that have just been working their way through the field heavily tonight.
Well, pace car lights are off. Scott Haley opting to take the inside line again on this restart. But now he's going to have Joshua Balliet to his outside. Kyle Benson now in third, just behind our leader, Scott Healy. Seth Berger up to 4th. And Max Service rounding out our top 5. So Tank Racing having a really good night. 3 of the cars inside the top 5.
Real good night for them, and especially as they continue to try to make up some ground or hang on to those points in that gap for the race for the number 1 spot in the team standings. But more importantly, even with this new format, in increasing that lead over third place and holding on to one of those bye rounds going into the opening round of 3 races.
Yeah, so some potentially good positioning here, or setting themselves to get up to that top position, like you said, in the team standings, which could help promote them to a spot where they're able to take that team championship by getting that seeding that they need. But that's not to take away from any of these teams out here in SRN. It's going to be a really exciting playoff season once we get to that. We got the original playoffs between the individual standings, but then we're going to have that team playoff aspect as well. But pace car is off. Scott Healy going to get a good jump. Kyle Benson going to get a really good jump as well. He is gone. And these two almost seem like they're working together, even though I know they're not, as Scott Healy is an independent and Kyle Benson is within the Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing Discord. But, man, Kyle Benson got a great jump there.
That was a tremendous jump from the man in the 10 car and the 64, just pulling him with them. But those the 2 cars just lined up real well with each other and really checking out from Joshua Balliet, who does have a good run, though, through 3 and 4, trying to make up some ground.
Some tight racing from 4th on back. It almost looks like the restart as we're side by side, about 5 rows deep here, as Seth Berger working on the outside of his teammate Max Service, but Dean Brummett there making it 3 wide going through turns 1 and 2.
Man, I've not seen a lot of 3 wide tonight, but in the second half of the race, going to start seeing that more and more. And Dean Brummett making it work. And somebody that does run real well at these intermediate tracks is Brummett, and he's starting to make his way through the field. Yeah,
up to 7th so far, looking to make up some more ground. But he's got nowhere to go right now as Max Service and Jordan Sailors are battling here for 5th place. Jordan Sailors up to 5th now, but still going to have Max Service to his inside. Seth Berger looking to make some ground up on our leaders. He's looking really fast right now as he's got his teammate Joshua Balliet in his sights. So Tank Racing all over this top 5, like we already said. and making some moves. More 3-wide action here between Honeycutt, Service, and Politis. They sort it out, and man, this is some great racing within the top 10.
And that was a real smart move. I think Service kind of backed out of that, being in the middle 3 wide through 3 and 4. And turn 4, coming out on that exit, that's not really somewhere you want to be 3 wide. You can make it work if everybody knows what they're doing and everybody holds a steady line. But that exit does want to pull you towards the wall pretty decently. And so I think that was a smart move, just kind of backing out of the middle 3 wide and then just kind of saving up for that run back down the front straightaway by getting a better line.
Going back a little bit further here, Joshua Balliet and Seth Berger still side by side. Seth Berger trying to make his way into the top 3 and make that push up towards the front where he was running at the beginning of this race. Tonight's pole sitter looking to get back to where he started.
Speaking of coming back through the field, how about that 18 car that we just saw a second ago? There he is in the blue and white, or the light blue lettering on that white car, the 18. One of the first drivers that kind of had some trouble there getting into the wall, kind of pancaking that right side. And all of a sudden, he's making himself back into the picture here, moving up to the 6th spot. So a good run from Chris Mathis working his way back through the field.
Yeah, really cool to see him working his way back up and getting a good run after, he got into a little bit of trouble early on in the race. Scott Kalal way up the track as his former teammate at Revved Racing, Gabriel Ellison, goes on by. But now going on by, Seth Berger is going on by Kyle Benson for second as his sights set on potentially Scott Healy for the lead if he can make this pass on the 10. Teammate going to peel up behind him and give him a little bit of a push to clear that 10. Heading into 3, I think he'll have the position.
It's so tough to pass on the outside because, yes, you do get all that momentum by carrying a little bit more speed through the turn, and you get to kind of use that built up almost like it's in a reserve there when you get out of the exit of the turn just by the momentum that you carry out of that turn down the straightaway. But there's so much more speed just from how short it is going around the inside. You're not getting off the throttle that much, especially early on into a run. This is kind of early-ish in terms of green flag laps on these tires, so there's still not a whole lot of time off the throttle, so you're still holding good speed on the inside as well. So trying to make a pass at this point on the outside, real tough to do around here.
Well, we said this on Wednesday during the Truck Series race, but I'm going to say it again tonight. Our whole top 10 is within a second of the leader. So this is just borderline restrictor plate racing on super speedways with how close these guys are racing, as we see still this great battle for second taking place. Seth Berger really having his work cut out for him, trying to clear the 10 of Kyle Benson here.
How often do you see this? This is now about 4 laps in a row, side by side. They've made it work so incredibly well. Been real respectful, but real tough racing with each other as they continue to fight for that second position. And meanwhile, they're starting to stack up a little bit more and more behind them as everybody just taking advantage of that side by side, the little extra draft that comes from that, and just pulling the field towards them and just not having all the speed that they can have by just having to change their line that little bit, not being able to build up that momentum like they want to, and it's just kind of packing the field in behind them.
Yeah, we were taking an on-board look at Dean Brummett there before coming on board Seth Berger here, and you can just see how tight it was and how hard it is to see when you're that close to other cars. So great job by these guys to keep it clean so far with this really tight racing. But don't look now. Next Level Motorsports is rearing its head in the top 10. Ellison in 7th, Lacey in 8th, and Timothy Latham up to 10th. So they're making up that ground, but they are in the thick of this battle with all these cars.
And the interesting part of their strategy, and this is where I understand what they were trying to do, and it might be happening here, they start spreading out. We get into a green flag run that goes a while. They're going to have another 15 or so laps that they can stay out and hope a caution hits at the right time, with everybody else pinned about a lap down after they're going to have to pit sooner than all those next level cars. So this is going to be their hope, is that they catch a caution late into this run here, that everybody else has to make their green flag pit stop before it happens, and they can reap the benefit of going off kilter that little bit on strategy.
Really tight moment between Gabriel Ellison and Chris Mathis there, but luckily keeping it clean. Gabriel Ellison almost gets into the rear of the 18, but not happening there. Gabriel Ellison going to make it happen though on the outside now, try to clear the Chris Mathis machine, moving him up into the top 5. So these boys are coming. Now Landon Lacey looking to the inside of Chris Mathis.
It's a nice move by Landon Lacey, seeing that little bit of speed, that little bit of momentum that was kind of brushed off the 18, taking advantage of it and trying to dive into turn 3 with that little extra momentum going into it. But now they're going to be stuck in that side-by-side loop with each other here for a bit. Landon Lacey actually getting a great run through 1 and 2 on the inside, and he's going to clear the 18, and he's going to pull Timothy Latham with him as he's going to take a look through that door that's still available on the inside.
And look who is now in the top 10, moving up. James Holzer has gotten that 42 machine cleaned up, and it is moving up towards the front too. So Next Level Motorsports is flying right now. Holzer up to 9th.
And they got those fresher tires. 17 laps later is when they made their pit stop than the rest of the field. It was lap 62 for those Next Level cars. It was lap 45 for the rest of the field when they made their stop. Everybody's good to make it on one more pit stop to the finish of this race. I don't think it's going to stretch out enough for the Next Level guys to not have to pit the rest of the way, especially with this longer run that's starting to develop. As we got about 40 laps to go, that final pit window gonna open here pretty soon. Don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of drivers trying to risk the undercut though at this point. They're gonna try to push it probably to lap 95, maybe lap 100 or so. With all the cautions, they can kind of extend this run just that little bit, but those fresher tires for the Next Level cars starting to pay dividends here.
Chris Mathis opting to come down pit road, it seems, as he is way off the pace early on down on the apron. So not really sure what's going on with the 18 here. Potentially out of fuel? Not so sure. We'll have to try and check in and see what's going on with the 18.
It should be fuel. It did kind of jump a little bit, so maybe there's a blink connection issue. That's interesting. Hopefully we can kind of figure that out and get some kind of a word about what happened there. Meanwhile, back on track, Michael Politis holding on to the 12th position. You see him right behind Nick Gowen in the 88 and just in front of Jordan Sailors in the 55, but they're starting to stretch out single file here, going back from the lead back to around the 12th position.
Scott Healy still on the point out in front, just 2/10 ahead of Kyle Benson though, so a tight battle for the lead. Seth Berger in 3rd. Gabriel Ellison up to 4th, trying to get his nose in on this battle for the win. And Joshua Balliet right here in the 7 is rounding out our top 5, but he's got his hands full with this 24 machine of Landon Lacey trying to hold on to that top 5 position here for Tank.
And checking back in on Chris Mathis, looks like he's dropped out of the server and dropped out of the race. So not sure if maybe there was a technical issue. Hopefully everything's all right on his end, but does look like he's done for the night. So one of the contenders here for especially a top 5 at the end of this race out for the night.
Yeah, showed really good speed all night, but unfortunately unable to get that car to the checkered flag here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Oval. Not Roval 185, but going to have to try and work on those issues that he was having and get back out here next week for some Watkins Glen action, see if he can keep that 18 up towards the front. But right now, these guys battling up toward the front. Seth Berger pulling a little bit of ground on Gabriel Ellison after a really tight battle the last couple of laps. We'll see if the 77 is able to catch up to the 10 machine of Kyle Benson and maybe make a push for 2nd, and then see if he can work on the leader, Scott Healy, as this was the car that was the class of the field to start this race for the first 40 laps or so before that first caution came out.
And I think the early run, he was definitely getting the benefit of the clean air. Once he kind of settled back in 2nd, 3rd, 4th place, it's gotten a lot tougher for him to make his way back to the front. This is probably the best we've seen him since that first stint on those that original set of tires, original tank of fuel before the first caution came out. So it looks like he might be set up real well for long runs and real comfortable with his line and pace for one of those. But having to pass the cars and make that run here with all these short runs that we've had with all these cautions since that first one, it's been a little bit more difficult for him to make his way through the field.
Here you see Scott Healy, our current hard charger of the night, up 29 positions from 30th to 1st, still holding that lead position as we come out of turn 4, taking lap 90 this time. We're down to just 35 laps to go. It is go time for these guys. We're going to see just what these pit strategies work themselves out to be, as we should be seeing some guys come down pit road here shortly.
And the interesting thing is, my instinct at least would say, this is about the time I would expect somebody to possibly try an undercut. Everybody's kind of getting filtered out single file, not a whole lot of side-by-side action on the track, so you're expecting a green flag run to go quite a bit around here. So maybe you just try that undercut, build up a little bit of time, make some passes on pit road by having those fresher tires. But what we saw on Thursday, I know my teammates were the biggest beneficiary of it with Tyler Markle and Jack Hedgecox. They had a great job of just staying out till the end of that run, catching a caution at the right time, and it really threw that loop into the field and gave Tyler Markle the win there, where it wasn't too tough for him at that point because the field got so caught back in the running order by being trapped a lap down and getting the wave around, but still having to be in the back. So my gut tells me try the undercut, but what we've seen this week tells me stay out as long as you can.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because after watching the Truck Series race, I was thinking the same thing, and I still didn't listen to myself, and got caught in the lap down after that round of green flag stops. But that is part of the racing, here in stock car racing as well as SRN. It's just everything matters. The strategy matters. How much you're wearing those tires off matters. Your qualifying matters. It all adds up, and it added up for a win on Thursday for Tyler Markle. So super cool seeing Markle get his first win here in SRN, as well as Striker Motorsports getting their first win here. So congratulations to you guys, Brandon. That was super cool.
That was a great night. Getting 2 on the podium, getting that first win for a series regular. Bo Brady, an independent but still affiliated with us on the Cup side, got the win at Talladega. So a good run for us on the Xfinity side. So real cool on a Thursday seeing that. One thing I'm keeping my eye on here in this race, though, don't look now, but Gabriel Ellison has possibly been the fastest car on the track here, as we're getting pretty close. Landon Lacey making a pit stop, James Holzer making his stop, Dean Brummett coming in, as well as Michael Politis. So we're starting to see these pit stops come through on this little bit of an undercut. This is actually pretty close to the end of the run here that they'll have, though, on fuel. But keep your eye on that 27 car. He has got that dialed in, as Scott Healy and Kyle Benson making their pit stop.
Yeah, well, those Next Level Motorsports cars were running a little bit of a different pit strategy, so surprising to see them come down so early. Could be huge if it works out for them. But right now, Seth Berger and Gabriel Ellison opting to stay out. Seth Berger back to the point here, but Gabriel Ellison not far off. Have to imagine that Seth is going to be coming down this time, as he kind of gave a little indication there maybe. Hopefully he gets down a little bit cleaner this time, as Landon Lacey and him almost got into one another. But nope, opting to stay out this time. Lead another lap in that 77 Jimmy Johnson throwback. But here comes Max Service down pit road for his final pit stop potentially of the night. Having a great run so far in that 81 car for Tank Racing. But right now, our top 2 staying out. Timothy Latham not too far back, also still out there. Nick Owen in 4th, Jordan Sailors in 5th. All these guys not opting to pit yet.
The top 13 cars still yet to make their stop. You got to go back to about 14th place. That's where Scott Healy is at the moment, and they're continuing to stay out here. So they're going with the strategy that we saw turn out to be the winning one on Thursday. Just extend this run as far as you possibly can, because I think at this point they're pretty committed to having to do that.
Yeah, the bed has been made, as they like to say. These guys that are out here are trying to get a little bit of a lucky call, like we saw happen a little bit earlier in the race with that first caution. It's definitely possible on these cold tires for these guys coming out. We saw Craig Lautenslager get loose on pit exit, and that was what started a waterfall of cautions, I guess you could say, and has completely changed the complexion of this race. But our pole sitter who led the first 40 laps, Seth Berger, still maintaining that lead with a hard charging Gabriel Ellison just behind him.
And Ellison going to take a look on the outside. It's a low line for Seth Berger all the way down that backstretch. That might be a sign that he's coming in this time. And definitely looks like he will be as he slows up on that inside line. So Gabriel Ellison going to take the lead for the first time tonight as Seth Berger makes his possible final pit stop of this race.
Yeah, crossing the laps or the stripe here for lap 99. Gabriel Ellison leading that lap last time by, so out in the front finally after he has made a strong push after restarting about 19th here in that last restart. So this 27 machine is fast, and this is one of the more consistent drivers here in SRN. So this is no new territory for Gabriel Ellison as we see him slowing up to come down pit road this time.
No, but it's been a weird season for him. Last season, the cleanest driver in the Cup Series. This season, and it's not really been any fault of his own, just caught up in so many issues on the track. It's been a real backward season from what we saw last year. But back out in front, Timothy Latham, another one of those drivers that is still yet to make their stop. And he had about 16, 17 extra laps, as well as Nick Gowen, who came in on lap 61. So they can really stretch this out a pretty good margin. As you see, Lacey and Healy going rapid around him 3 wide. These are all guys fighting for the lead should this cycle out all the way through.
Wow, they were side by side heading into that turn. Great job on splitting Timothy Latham. That just shows the speed difference that is going on right now between clean, fresh tires and old tires between the 24 and the 64 and the 5 out there. That was dicey. But now Scott Healy getting back by Landon Lacey through turns 3 and 4. So Healy showing some really good speed on the short run and the early run of these tires.
And the big thing with this, too, not only are they racing for the lead once everything cycles out, should it, before a caution comes out, they also got back on the lead lap naturally. So if the caution comes out, they don't have to worry about the wave around and starting in the back of the field on the restart. They're going to cycle out to the front. So if this caution comes out, those top 5 cars that are going to have to still make that pit stop, they'll be behind this the 64, the 24, all those cars that just got that lap back naturally.
Timothy Latham still out there. He's got 39 laps on this set of tires and fuel, so I can only imagine he can probably make it maybe another 5 or 6. Hoping, praying that he gets that caution. Nick Gowen not too far behind him, though, so Timothy Latham about to lose this lead potentially. But I think they're on similar pit strategies here, so Gowen not too much faster. The top 5 really all hoping for that lucky caution as you got Latham, Gowen, Rideout, Arden, and Lyons rounding out your top 5.
And I think for Latham and Gowen, you're looking at probably 5 to 8 more laps that they're going to be able to stretch this out. So their hope's going to be that a caution comes out. They'll cycle out to about 11th and 12th once the wave arounds happen. As we keep checking back in on Scott Healy, Landon Lacey, Kyle Benson, this is for the eventual lead of the race because those top 5 drivers all still have to make a pit stop.
Yeah, Landon's got to be careful to not hurt himself making that move because now Kyle Benson is going to be loping to make a move on Landon Lacey, not able to do it this lap. But the way he entered that turn could really hurt the momentum on exit. And so that 10 car is looking to get by that 24 and have a run at Scott Healy. But right now, Scott Healy is the point of the field. Landon Lacey just sitting here trying to wait for him to make a mistake and see what happens if we do get that caution here within the last 20 laps.
And those group of cars that are still staying out, sounds like they're starting to hit the end of that cycle because Emerson Arden just announcing on the driver chat that he's going to come in this time. There he is. So we're those 5 drivers trying to stretch this out till as long as they possibly could, maybe getting to that point.
Yeah, and he is likely going to lose a lap, I'd have to imagine, too. Gowen making a pass for the lead here on Timothy Latham. So Gowen at the point now. But like we said, these guys are still going to have to make a pit stop here to make it to the end. So they are going to have their work cut out for them if they want to be in contention to win this thing if it stays green. Because I have to imagine all these guys could potentially lose a lap here as the leader, Scott Healy, is just about 20 seconds behind him. Lucas Lyons now opting to come down pit road.
And honestly, the pace that we're seeing difference from the leaders that are staying out on these old tires and the cars that have already come in racing for what will be the eventual lead, they might catch them naturally on the track even if they could stretch it out the rest of the way. They're about a second or 2 faster every single lap around here.
Down to 19 laps to go. Just 3 more drivers to pit. But Scott Healy is closing the gap on them quickly, just 19 seconds back now as Go and Latham Rideout are our top 3.
Should a caution come out, the top 3 that have still yet to pit, they're still going to stay in the top 14, as we only have 14 cars on the lead lap. David Duke, Jordan Sailor's trying to get their lap back next. As you see, David Duke right behind Nick Goen, which if he gets that lap back naturally, he'll protect himself from the wave around should a caution come out before these top 3 make their stop.
Well, I'd have to imagine that would be a jackpot situation for those top 3, because the people that have already pitted are at lap 15 on their set of tires, so they're going to want to come get some fresh tires as well. So it could really pay dividends for these guys staying out, but I don't think they can really stay out much longer on lap 45, coming to lap 46 on this set of tires and fuel. So not much more in the tank for the 88.5 and 14 here.
I'm going to guess maybe about 5 more laps for these guys. It's Justin Rideout, one of those 3 now on pit road. I'm thinking for Goen and Latham, maybe 5 more laps because of the cautions that we saw since that pit stop. They can extend that a little bit farther. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot more, though.
Yeah, David Duke getting his lap back there, so that gives us 16 cars on the lead lap. O'Brady getting his lap back, so 17. Cohen coming in this time. Timothy Latham still opting to stay out. So we'll see if Goen can stay on the lead lap after staying out for so long. Like I said, 17 cars now on the lead lap here as we see John Honeycutt making the move on the inside. So up to, nope, he was a couple laps down. So 17 cars on the lead lap. We'll see how much longer this 5 car can stay out, as Scott Healy is just 14.5 seconds back now.
Going up towards above that seam, so it's closer to the top, so still no pit stop for Timothy Latham. It's going to be one of those things where it's just a matter of time on when he has to do it. It's not going to be a question of if he's going to make this pit stop. 14 laps, there's no way he's going to be able to stretch it that far. But meanwhile, Scott Healy has opened up about a half-second advantage over Landon Lacey behind him. That's going to be for the eventual lead, and it's about a full second back to Joshua Balliet. This is the farthest back we've seen this group separated here in quite some time, really going back to that first green flag run. We didn't even see them get sorted out like this.
Yeah, what a huge win that would be for Scott Healy to get that first win on the season after winning the championship last year. Would be great momentum heading into the playoffs, as we are down to just 2 races after this before those playoffs start. So you see the gap there down at the bottom just ever so slightly building on Lacey, which is exactly what he needs to do. Doesn't really need to worry about Timothy Latham out in front, because like you said, Brandon, he is definitely going to have to pit. It's not a matter of if, it's when. And here he comes this time.
Yeah, when is right now for the driver of the 5, the race leader on the pit road. So Scott Healy going to assume the lead, and he's going to have with it about a half-second advantage over Landon Lacey. And then it's going to be Joshua Balliet, Kyle Benson, and Gabriel Ellison rounding out the top 5.
As he's got a lap car, Lucas Lyons going on by him here. He's got to do this cleanly just to not lose too much time to Landon Lacey behind him. Goes on by. Lucas Lyons now back on the lead lap.
And that's actually going to help Scott Healy a little bit too, because Lucas Lyons on fresher tires going to be in front of him faster. He's going to get a little bit of that pull from the draft here shortly. It's not going to be a whole lot longer though, because Lucas Lyons is going to be that much faster on fresh tires. But just that little extra bit, he's going to pull ahead, and you can see it there on the timing pylon. He gained about a second, about a tenth of a second, 0.2 of a second on that lead.
He's got Justin Rideout to his outside now. We saw him make his pit stop not too long ago. Gets by him cleanly. Scott Healy still at the point with about an 0.8 of a second lead over Landon Lacey. Joshua Balliet having a great run tonight in third, just sitting over a second behind our leader, but he's got a mirror full of Gabriel Ellison, who is trying to get that 27 car up to the front to maybe make a run for this win tonight, but he's going to have his work cut out getting by this 7 machine here.
And remember, Ellison came in a couple of laps later, about 5 laps later, so this is about that point in the run where the fresh tires start to make that turn towards getting pretty greasy out there. And Ellison's still going to have that fresh feeling for another few laps here where he's going to have a little bit more speed, so this could work to his benefit, possibly moving up to third, maybe even second, if he can get a nice run going here in these final 10 laps.
They are closing in on Landon Lacey a little bit as Landon continues to fall off from Scott Healy, about 8.5, 9/10 of a second here, about closing in on a second here. So he is definitely slowing up. See if the 7 could maybe make a push for getting a runner-up tonight here in second. But man, that 27 is right there on his bumper, just waiting for him to make a mistake. This is going to be a great battle here for second, third, and fourth.
This is playing out to a typical Gabriel Ellison style race. Just been real quiet all night, but then in the second half of this thing, been right up there contending for the top 5, contending for a podium finish, and doing it clean and patient as he now looks to the outside of Joshua Balliet in the 7. He's going to get a great run of momentum off the turn as Balliet kind of pinches it down only about halfway up on the track, going down the back straightaway, and that was an easy pass for Gabriel Ellison with all that momentum.
Yeah, that was a power move for the 27, looking to get in contention to possibly win this thing. But in order to do that, he had to get by that 7 car, and now he has to work on his teammate, Landon Lacey. So we'll see how hard Landon battles him here. Maybe just letting him go on by as he gives him a lot of room here in 1 and 2. And I think he's going to let him have the position.
I think that's part of that teamwork there, just knowing that he's got the fresher tires. He's got more pace in that car right now. 5-lap fresher tires doesn't sound like much, but it's at that point in this run where it's still a significant difference, maybe a quarter second lap of a lap faster with that just 5-lap differential between those two. And so I think he kind of knew, hey, I'm pretty safe in the points at this point, just about locked in to the playoffs already with a couple races left. I know the 27's faster. He might have just given that spot up.
I think he did, but then now he has Joshua Balliet working on his inside, so Landon Lacey potentially falling out of the top 3 because of that teamwork. But we'll see. Landon Lacey's going to fight tooth and nail here on the high line to try and hold on to that 2 out of the top 3 being Next Level Motorsports here. But right now, Scott Healy really not giving up any ground to Gabriel Ellison, as we see Gabriel Ellison being really fast out there. Scott Healy's just plain old faster.
Yeah, well, Ellison might be the fastest car out there, but he's had to go through and make some passes in the process, which obviously will slow him down. And Scott Healy just loving what he sees in the rearview mirror with all that action that we've been following the past couple laps. And he's just been in a wide open track. There is nobody near him, not even any lapped cars in the way right now. And that is the best sight ever if you're the race leader with 4 laps to go. Nothing but a clean racetrack around you.
Yeah, I mean, the next closest car is Lucas Lyons, who has fresher tires, so is pulling away from him. So doesn't have to worry about him. And, I mean, the next one in front of him is crossing the stripe right now. So nobody within any zip code of Scott Healy. So really up to him to finish this thing out cleanly and just keep calm as he has done in the past. We saw him win the championship here in the Cup season last year, come on strong late in the season too. So we could be seeing a repeat script here in this season of SRN.
And this run should not shock anybody. He was one of the better drivers when it came to intermediates, especially once we got to the playoffs. He had that second place finish here at Charlotte last season in the third to last race of the season. And then where was the finale? It was at Texas, another track very similar to this one, another 1.5-mile quad oval with a double dog leg down the front, and he won that race in the process of winning the championship. So just won the championship there. So just having that run, having that experience on these 1.5 miles, just real good run here. This should not shock anybody.
Yeah, and I don't think these guys want to see Scott Healy with a full head of steam in confidence heading into the playoffs, but that's exactly what we're going to be seeing as we're down to 2 races after this to get in the cut. But coming out of turn 4 right now, he's going to see the white flag in the air. 1 lap to go for the oval, not Roval 185. Scott Healy trying to bring it home.
It has been a couple weeks since we've seen Scott Healy, but he has not missed a step. Just a dominant performance here, especially in the second half of this race, coming from near last at the very start of this thing all the way up to the front.
Well, we're going around turns 3 and 4 right now. Got a 1.5 second lead over his next competitor, starting in 30th tonight, bringing it home in first. Scott Healy is your winner at Charlotte.
what a run for the man in the 64, the defending champ, making a huge statement here tonight. Going from 30th to 1st, he'll win the race, he'll win the Hard Charger Award, as I don't think anybody could even come close to coming to that one, going from 30th all the way up to 1st. Just an incredible performance from our Season 1 champion.
Yeah, gets a little bit of a tap from Kyle Benson there. A great show of sportsmanship as Scott Healy had the class of the field out there in that 64 machine. Was just so fast, and like I said, this is not what people want to be seeing right now. So he's going to go out here and have some fun, turn some donuts for his first time out here in Speed Racing Network. He's got a family member on board that car, showing some love, some honor there as they lost him this year. But man, super cool to see the 64 doing donuts again.
Yeah, first time since that championship win at Texas last season. We're seeing the celebration for the 64, and we talk about the Hard Charger Award that he wins from coming from 30th. 4 of the top 6 drivers all started outside of the top 10. In fact, it was Gabriel Ellison, or 5 of the top 6 drivers all starting outside of the top 10. Gabriel Ellison started 10th and finishing 2nd, so we saw a lot of guys making their way through the field here tonight.
Yeah, lots of movement, lots of shaking up, and lots of pit strategies that we saw out there too. So big storylines happening out there that led to Scott Healy winning this race tonight as he's celebrating with some of his buddies out there on the track. But let's go ahead and check out the top 20 order as it is unofficially. And there we see it, Scott Healy as an independent coming home in first tonight. Gabriel Ellison coming home second. Joshua Balliet, after starting 21st, going to be in third. Kyle Benson in fourth. And Landon Lacey rounding out your top 5.
6th place going to be Dean Brummett in the number 25. Seth Berger, the pole sitter, had a great start to this race, going to hang on to a 7th place finish. The points leader, James Holzer, was near last at one point in this race. A lap down, comes all the way back up to 8th, but that points lead going to shrink a little bit more here this week. Max Service winds up in 9th. Michael Politis rounds out the top 10.
Coming home in 11th, it's going to be Scott Kalal for Revved Racing. 12th going to be Jordan Sailors. Nick Owen coming home in 13th. Joshua Siegfried going to be in 14th. Emerson Ardon coming home in 15th.
The last man to make a pit stop there on that last run, Timothy Latham, will wind up in 16th place. Bo Brady will be in 17th. 18th place, last car on the lead lap, Lucas Lyons. It'll be Justin Rideout in 19th, one lap down. David Duke, also a lap down, rounding out the top 20.
So let's go ahead and bring up our third place driver. It's Joshua Balliet. Josh, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain up here in the booth, coming home third tonight. Tell us about your race and how you're feeling after that one.
It was pretty good. Went from 21st to 3rd, but once again, got a little bit screwed over by that quality position. I just can't seem to qualify, and that just puts me at the back foot, but I'm just happy we were able to recover from that. We need some good races here.
Well, it was a great job working your way through the field up to the podium positions in 3rd, and coming into this race, sitting in that tie for 10th in the point standings, about 20 points clear, so still pretty safe, but a run like this just giving you even more breathing room with the final 2 races. How you feeling with Watkins Glen and Michigan coming up?
Watkins Glen I feel very confident at. That was by, I got a 5th at the Roval. Watkins Glen, it's a lot of people are good there, so maybe it's not as good as a 5th, but that should still be a top 10, so feel good there. Michigan, actually, last season, I'm usually not too good at Michigan, but last season gave me some confidence. Ran the top 5 most of the week.
Well, you've been running great. You've been running great all season, man. Tank Racing looking really good as you guys are currently sitting 2nd in the team standings, making up some ground today, I'd have to imagine, as you had 3 cars in the top 10. But before we let you go, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Teesprings, Liftworks, Chicago Heights Star Tool and Die, Healthcare Billing Incorporated, Raise Energy, Hunterton Anesthesia Associates, Butcher Box, Common Sense Supplements, Invader Zim Designs, and just all my teammates working with me, like Seth and all that. And congratulations to Scott Healy and David Stremme on the paint scheme.
All right, man. Well, we will share that with Scott, but congratulations on your 3rd place finish tonight, man. Go have fun celebrating with your teammates on a good night.
Yep, thank you.
Well, there you have it. That was Joshua Balliet coming home in third. But we have a second place driver to get to, Gabriel Ellison. Let's bring him up in the booth now. Gabriel Ellison, it's Greg Olenek and Brandon Domain in the booth. Congrats on the second place finish. Tell us about that race and how you're feeling after a long one here at Charlotte tonight.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, pretty dang happy with that. Qualified 10th, and early on in the race, I got some track position, and they had my teammate Holzer got put into the wall there, and I lost a lot of track position off that, and from there it was just a big uphill battle. But some tire strategy later on when we had that our last long run, we had pit before that, so we had like 10 lap fresher than most people. Everybody stayed out, and I just kind of drove through from like 16th or 17th up to I think 4th or 5th before everybody started pitting. So it was all just a tire strategy, and definitely some luck involved, not catching cautions there towards the end because the caution would have set me back big time. But overall, it was just keeping it clean, avoiding wrecks, and some tire strategy.
And one thing we've been talking about here is really this season, just how clean of a driver and how consistent you've been. But then this season, it just seems like a lot of stuff just happening around you, where there's not a whole lot you can do in the process, which it just happens at times. But here we go, starting to build momentum. Playoffs coming right around the corner. Just a couple races till then, you feel like that momentum's starting to get on your good side here, and possibly putting some of those headaches from early in the season behind you.
Yeah, I sure hope so. Mile and a halfs have always been kind of my bread and butter, and even right there, I didn't touch another car the whole race, but I still had a 2X because I avoided 2 wrecks through the grass. So, sometimes you just can't avoid it, and most of this season's been just stuff I can't avoid. So that's part of it. We got 35 guys out here, and a lot of the talent level's pretty close. So there's going to be a lot of door-to-door stuff. So it happens. So I just hope that after this I can just carry the momentum, keep going, and get some nice podiums going, hopefully.
Yeah, well, a great run tonight at Charlotte. But before we let you go, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, huge shout out to the team, Next Level Motorsports. I think we work really well together and had not everybody, I think we had a couple incidents, but overall good run for us. Huge thanks to Sneak Competition Design on the car. If you need a website design, check them out. And thanks to you guys at SRN for putting on this broadcast and putting on the series.
Well, we appreciate that, man. But we're going to go ahead and send you back down to your team. Have fun celebrating with a great night for Next Level Motorsports.
Thanks.
Oh, there you have it. That was Gabriel Ellison coming home in second. But now we got to get to the man of the hour. We're going to bring up Scott Healy in the booth, tonight's winner. Scott, it's Greg Olenek, Brandon Domain in the booth. Big night for you, man. Dominating fashion, winning this thing here at Charlotte. Tell us how you're feeling, and tell us about your race, buddy.
Oh, man. I didn't do anything. My grandma did it all, so congrats to her. She's the one driving, like I said last time I was on the interview. So everything she was doing, she was in the driver's seat. I was just a passenger, man. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm happy. I'm excited. It's good to be back on the booth.
Yeah, and back on the track, we haven't seen you here in a little bit, and coming back out here, putting together a run like this, getting that momentum right back, it's like you never missed a step with just that couple races before the playoffs, still in that cut line. How you feeling going in towards the final couple races here before we get to the playoffs?
I'm just riding it out. I just trying to lay back, enjoy myself, have a good time. I'm not really racing for points or trying anything. I'm just out here just trying to have a good time, do the best I can, and all that stuff. So I'm pretty thrilled.
Well, as last season's Cup champion, you came on late in that season, getting a win about in the second half, and then just absolutely killing the playoffs. Is this something that the guys need to start worrying about as we're starting to see a repeat script this year, Scott?
Possibly. I always come out strong at the end, so whenever it comes to playoffs, it's go time. So I'm gonna bag as much wins as I can and try to finish as best as I can.
All right, buddy. Well, we love seeing you here in Victory Lane, man. One of the favorites here on SRN, last season's Cup champion. Before we let you go, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Just my whole family. I like to give thanks to. So shout out to them. Shout out to my friends as well. MRM, they're an awesome group. All my friends back at home, my sponsors, National Lumber, Crete, Milwaukee, Valvoline, all the thanks to them. So that's what I like to give a thanks to today.
All right, man. Well, congrats on the big win here at Charlotte. We'll send you back down there with your buddies. Go have fun celebrating, man.
Thank you, man.
All right. Well, that was Scott Healy, tonight's winner in the Cup Series for the Oval, not Roval, 185. So that's going to conclude Week 11 action. On to Week 12. You see it there, Battle at the Glen, 125. That's not at the Charlotte Oval. So there you go. Sean getting his first mess up of the night. I knew I couldn't let him get away with one. So that will be at Watkins Glen International up in New York. And it's one of my favorite road courses on the circuit, Brandon.
Yes, there we go. It is in fact at Watkins Glen, and it's really the super speedway of road courses. You don't see those incredible braking zones like you will at a lot of other road courses. Really lends to a different style of racing than you see typically see at road courses. So always an interesting one. And with 2 races left before we get to that playoff cut line, there's going to be a lot of aggressive driving out there, I think, trying to make up as many points as you can, especially if you're one of those road ringers that are just real comfortable on those road courses.
And a lot of practice laps turn this week, I have to imagine, too, at the Glen, as these guys are going to be trying to make their push inside the cut. But that is not all the action we have next week. Wednesday, we're going to have some Watkins Glen action for the Truck Series. And that's the Battle at the Glen 90. Catch that Wednesday, September 29th at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah, just that short sprint of a race there for the trucks, 35 laps around Watkins Glen. It's going to go pretty quick, but I think what we've seen in past years on these road courses with our truck series, the racing has always been pretty intense. A lot of close finishes when it comes to the road courses there. So expecting a really good race from our truck series to start off the week.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun as we go to Watkins Glen next week. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Just 4 cautions here at Charlotte for 16 laps. We had 12 lead changes, but a great race nonetheless. But that's going to do it and conclude our broadcast here. For myself, Brandon Domain, Sean Griffith, we wish you a good night and go faster.